Well saved by Alec Ludzig, and a second very fine save. He goes down to smother that one, and a little schmozzle building up here. McNulty, the number 7, there involved, going in to try and latch onto any little pieces that might be about. And Alec Ludzig certainly felt that one. Noel O'Mahony not too pleased with the treatment meted out to his goalkeeper. Napier. Good ball aimed towards Dave Barry's head. Ronnie Murphy not clearing his lines all that terribly well. Back in by Bannon. Swept away by McNulty again, towards Hanrahan. It's Irwin against Daly. Napier trying to get back goal side. Still Brian Irwin. And he celebrates his return to the first team with a smashing goal. Well, that's his first start since coming on as a sub against Shelbourne back in mid-September. He's missed the last 6 matches, but there was a great deal of sharpness in the way he hit that one. Dundalk, 1 ahead. So Bannon and Cole preparing for this free kick. And Alan O'Neill, you'll see, has got Martin Lawler for company on the goal line. Dave Barry and Jerry McCabe. McCabe for Roach, and it's in! Cork City on terms. Declan Roach celebrating his return to Cork City, beating Alan O'Neill for the 2nd week in succession. And I think this may well have caught a deflection, or perhaps 2 on its way in. James Caldwell, the free kick. On by Hanrahan, and Irwin! 2-1 to Dundalk. Brian Irwin, his 2nd goal of the match, beating Alec Ludzig. And it all came from this set piece. Caldwell, the free kick, just touched on by Hanrahan, getting the gentlest of nods above Fergus O'Donoghue. Irwin seemed to miss kick, but it counted. So Brian Irwin getting a generous round of applause, substituted towards the end of this match, and Alan Doherty, the player who's coming on to replace him. Purdy with the throw. Good looking ball across for Doherty. Alan Doherty's first touch in the match since coming on as a substitute. His 2nd goal of the season. He got the winner in a League Cup match against Athlone in August. And he's certainly sewn this match up. Purdy's little chip ball, the marking very slack, and that's surely a winner. Alec Ludzig beaten. 3-1 to Dundalk. And Alan Doherty.
It's into the second half. 19-year-old John Bacon, on loan from Arsenal, delicately lobbing the ball over Dave Henderson to level the score. Derry then got the chance to take the lead after Mark Ennis was taken down in the penalty area by Robbie Best. Stuart Gall scored from the resulting spot kick.
Across Ireland, from here in the city of Derry to the city of Cork, from Limerick to Dublin and to Dundalk too, they're all believing that their side is in with a chance of winning the coveted trophy. Yes, from the very outset, since the league split in its historic fashion to send the top 6 into orbit, leaving the bottom 6 to scrap against relegation, there's been interest only.
But it was extremely important to point to that, having lost to Dundalk, there was a lot of pressure on us.
My heart of hearts say that that's the one team there looks as if they're capable of doing it. And I think that's going to be the question right up to the very last game. I do believe if any team now wins 3 games in a row, there's no question. I believe that the championship will go to that team.
You make the point about the home teams finding it difficult. You found it difficult yourselves here at the Brandywell in getting the results right?
Yes, because a lot of teams come here. It's a good surface to play on. It's a good pitch. And a lot of teams come here basically to defend and try and get you in a break. They enjoy the atmosphere as well. There's always a fairly good crowd at the Brandywell, and that makes it easier for teams to play. And what I've also found too is when we go away from home, the opposition comes at us, so it makes it a bit easier for us away from home.
So thinking specifically about the Cork game and the incidents in that and how it went and didn't go for you in that particular game.
Yes, I feel that most of the games, especially since the cut-off, we've been very unlucky. People keep telling us about we're not scoring goals, and that's rightly so, or else we only score 1 goal. But if you look at the Cork game, for instance, we had a decision with Mark Ennis, a handball. It still mystifies me how it was a handball. Harrington, again, that's the 2nd time he's done it. The saves that he produced on the day was unbelievable. The second half, we had 1 cut taken off the line. Even if you go back to the Shelbourne match when we lost 2-0 to Brandywell, if you analyse the chances we had, albeit that Shelbourne in the first 45 minutes were outstanding and deserved to be in the lead, but if you analyse the chances, I think it was after about 2 minutes, John Bacon was clean through on his own from a free kick, and he blasted it wide in the second half. He had a similar opportunity. and we hit the woodwork, I think, twice. So we are creating, and there's no doubt about that. And the chances are just unfortunately falling to the people that they can't put away at this moment of time.
But you're still very much in there and hunting now. Which is going to be the most difficult of the 5 remaining?
Yeah, I don't think, honestly, you can separate. Certainly I do believe that whichever team, be it ourselves or anybody else, if they get the next 3 games, 3 wins, there's no question in my mind the championship will go to that team.
Since the top 6 started, I think it's been a smashing innovation from the league point of view. It's been terrific for Gates, it's been terrific for supporters, and it's terrible pressure on managers. But I think it has been terrific for the game, and certainly it's been well worthwhile.
One of your most serious reverses was the 2-0 defeat down in Cork.
Yes, a game that we had a couple of injuries in, and which didn't go very well for us, but we've recovered quite well from that. I think we're 3 points off the pace, having to play everybody once. If you were to give us that position before this season started, George, I would have accepted that.
The point is often made about clubs that win championships that it has to be about strength and depth. It's not just about the 11 plus 2 subs, but you have to have others there to come in. You've shown, really, with your success, particularly at Dalymount when you beat Bohemians, that you have a team, a squad that's strong.
Yes, we've got a strong squad, and we've got some young players that's come through. Young Thomas Sullivan, the 2 full-backs, young Thomas Dunn is in the international panel, and Richie Purdy, who should be in the international panel under 21s, and young Brian Irwin up front, and they've done exceptionally well, and the experience that we have within the squad helps tremendously to bring the young fellas on.
Has there been a highlight for you as this first round, if you like, of the top 6 has elapsed and you've now played 5 and 5 to go?
Yes, well, the highlight has been we've had some smashing games. The couple of games at home against Shells, where we beat Shells twice, have been very, very good. The 1-0 win in Dalymount was very, very pleasing. And I think overall our home performances this year in Oriel Park, with 2 matches in the league left, we're unbeaten.
Noel, what's your assessment of the various teams involved? It's still Cork and Bohs setting the pace.
Yeah, but I think the signs are with Shelbourne have come on a very strong run. I would have fancied Shelbourne from early on. They seem to be the team capable of putting 3 or 4 wins together, which with so many teams drawing matches could be crucial in the end.
The other factor that can affect teams, of course, is the injury situation. This very week, Bohemians have lost their right back, Donald Brohan, who's been a key man for them.
Yeah, well, obviously squads are very important. Dundalk have a very strong squad, which could pay dividends for them towards the end. Cork seem to have a stronger squad this time than they've ever had. Shelbourne do have a strong squad. Bohemians have been the team who have picked up more injuries than anybody else, and that's probably been unfortunate for Eamon Gregg. But that's the way the game is. It's over 30 matches, and really that could play a significant part before it's finished.
And obviously there's home and away still involved. How much has the home advantage been a factor in this?
Well, home advantage is crucial. I mean, obviously if you're at home, the very least you can expect is to get a point of it. And if you take tomorrow's game with Cork and Shelbourne, if Cork can win that game, being home advantage, well, that sees 4 points between them and very much rules Shelbourne out of the contest. If they can go on and win the remaining 2 home matches, they will win the league. There's no question about that. But it's got so tight now that before this, teams were prepared to accept the draw going anywhere and still be involved in the championship. Now it's the team who has the courage to say, let's go and try and win 2 or 3 games in the trot, and also the team who's capable of doing that will probably decide where it goes.
A couple of other aspects about the way the top 6 has developed. There have been quite a number of draws, and there has been a lack of goals.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would point that down to one simple factor, is that you've got the top 5 teams in the country playing each other, and when the top teams play each other, it's very seldom you have a 4-1 or a 5-1 or a 3-1 even. It's generally 1 goal will separate the 2. If you look at each individual team, you've got Mark Ennis with Derry, who is a prolific goal scorer, but this season hasn't really shined. If he's capable of scoring 3 goals in the next 4 weeks, Derry will win the league. Peter Hanrahan in Dundalk, Pat Morley down in Cork has been scored in the last 3 years, and if he hits a rich vein, Cork will win the league. It's as simple as that.
Noel King in the best of positions to assess who is likely to win the Bord Gáis League of Ireland this season. He may be propping up the top 6, but it's a measure of his success that he's brought Limerick FC into the elite. Well, of course, the league resumes this weekend after its break for the Cup, and this is how the table looks as they set sail on the second half of the top 6. Cork City in the lead by that single point, and then Bohs, Shells, Derry and Dundalk, all with realistic championship ambitions. Bohemians meet Derry City this afternoon at Dalymount Park, and you can see highlights of that game a little later on Sports Stadium. Big games tomorrow at Bishopstown, Cork City against the defending champions Shelbourne, and at Rathban, Limerick against Dundalk. The Group B table